Hey guys, this is Pastor. Have you seen this rendition from Allen Creek Community Church that we also belovingly call Fist? Fist? I don't remember which side. Anyway, but we would love for you guys to send content to us. This is what we do. We get content from you guys that has made its rounds on the internet. And as a result, we comment on that from a cool take, from a Christian perspective, from a pastor's perspective. And so I'm excited to see what we have here. My name's Alex, pastor at Allen Creek Community Church, and here we go.
Talking about abortion makes many people profoundly uncomfortable. At dinner parties, in polite conversation with friends and family, and too often in church.
Well, murder does that.
Despite many people's profound discomfort with abortion, images, messaging, and moralizing about abortion are ubiquitous in our culture. Talking fetuses, aggressive bumper stickers, and saccharine billboards quoting scripture and invoking God's wrath pave our streets and plaster our highways. Politicians stump on the issue, and state legislatures spent the last 50 years working to control, regulate, and ultimately overturn Roe v. Wade. Their success was our failure. In the abortion imaginary, all people of faith are against abortion. This imaginary has colonized our minds, traumatizing many people with its toxic theology.
Hold on. The Bible imaginary. I have not heard of this before, but a few things I will say before we go any further is that abortion is a very interesting topic, and there are a lot of different nuances to it. And I think what we need to do is we need to clarify what that term means. If we're saying terminate a pregnancy with no, like terminate a living pregnancy, then yes. If we're saying terminate or extract a dead fetus, I think that's different. So we're just going to start with that. Also, there's a lot of science that has been showing that abortion is actually no longer medically necessary. But I want to clarify, this is a very complicated topic. We don't want anyone to die. Murder is never something we want to see, and we also don't want to see anyone die. So I want to really just be clear on that. And then, I'm gonna continue on here.
Shaping a culture of stigma and shame that has silenced millions of women and people who have had abortions, erasing their voices, their stories, and their witness from the public sphere. As a child of God, I can certainly appreciate the lyrical beauty of this text, as well as the descriptions in Jeremiah and Job of their certain knowledge that God was with them in the womb. I too feel that I am known by God in these ways. As a woman who has borne 2 children, I can affirm that I felt something sacred happening in my gestating body during those pregnancies. I can also attest that I felt God's presence with me as I made the decision to end 2 pregnancies. And
So, first thing, I don't know. Honestly, my wife should be the one responding to this, because she would be able to. Anyway, so I do not understand how you could believe that God's miraculous power was in you and with you, and then also believe that He was with you as you made that decision. I can understand how He was with you after you've made a decision. He doesn't leave us because of our sin. But I don't believe God was with you in that decision, meaning that He helped you make that decision. That isn't in alignment with God's character. That's not in alignment with who He is. I also have some other mental health questions for her, because one of my ex-girlfriends had an abortion before I ever started dating her, and we had a lot of conversations about some of the mental health issues she struggled with. So
I felt no guilt, no shame, no sin. While the liminal space of my womb and all fertile wombs represents the possibility of creating new life, if pregnancy and gestation are to remain holy mysteries, they require cooperation. A forced pregnancy or birth is not holy. I cannot fathom a God who would imagine otherwise.
Okay. So that's where we go normally, right? Like when we're talking about abortion, the first place we go is, well, what do you do when a 10-year-old's raped? Literally the first thing that someone says. What do you do when a 10-year-old's raped? You want her to have that kid. And my honest answer is I believe that the damage that happens from not having the kid is worse. And I'll probably get tons of people just mad at me over that. But at the end of the day, it's a life. And we have to determine when human life begins. We found out we were pregnant about 3 or 4 weeks after my wife got pregnant, and we already were able to hear the heartbeat. So, or I think it was at 6 weeks we heard the heartbeat. So, when does life begin? And some people will say that life begins when a mind can cognitively think. Well, does that mean life stops when I become a vegetable? Does that mean life stops when I get dementia? Does that mean life stops when my grandma can't think for herself? So my point being is that I don't think murdering a person who can't think for themselves is right. So I really don't think abortion is right. I understand that there's a lot of things that come with this. And honestly, I've said this from the very beginning. Churches should always be the first ones to step up. Christians should always be the first ones to step up and adopt. And I can tell you that I've seen that at our church. I'm the youth pastor here, and about probably 75% of our youth group is adopted kids. And so, I mean, I've seen it happen over and over again. And I also know that majority of foster parents are from Christian households or are Christian households. So just knowing that on the other side of it, right, like we're asking people to have kids, we have to also be able to support them and provide for them. And that's also, why the Christian church was the first one to start orphanages, by the way. That was, they're like, well, if we're going to ask you to have kids, we're going to make sure we can provide for those kids if you can't. So, honestly, confused about what Bible she's reading. She didn't really cite any direct sources of Scripture. So she's speaking on behalf of God without using any Scripture to back herself up. And sounds like she's speaking from a lot of emotion. I would like to know if her abortions haunt her the way that my ex-girlfriend would talk about it, like that they would haunt her. And that she said she didn't have any shame or guilt, which is shocking. That's not normally the narrative I hear. So that is interesting to hear. So I would love to dialogue more on this. Obviously, I'm not someone who's going to have a child, like give birth to a child. I understand pregnancy is difficult. I'm watching my wife go through it now, and she's got support, but I can't imagine not having support. And I do understand it changes your body, it changes your life, but I also believe in the sacredness of human life. And so willing to dialogue with you. Again, I think maybe my wife should have commented on this because she could have gave a women's perspective on such a topic. But from a pastor's perspective, murder is never okay. And we have to determine when life begins, and I believe that it begins as soon as you hear a heartbeat, and that's pretty early on. So usually before you even know you're pregnant. So, all right. Well, that's that. We'll see you guys later.